Elasticity. What are they? That means it is degrees of responsiveness measures. Elasticity using measuring the degrees of responsiveness. One variable to changes in another. The elasticity here we are going to use in demand and supply. That means how much the quantity, demand or supply of a good responds to a changes in the determinants of that goods. We already learned what are the determinants of quantity demand. So whenever any changes in determinants of quantity demand like income, price, etc. leads to changes in quantity demand. Here the elasticity measuring a changes in determinants of quantity demands, how much changes in the quantity demand. Why introduce them? Demand and supply responsiveness clearly matter for many market analysis. Here we are going to learn the price elasticity of demand. So we know the law of demand, the relationship between price and the quantity demand. When price is low, the quantity demand will be increase. If the price is high, the quantity demand will decrease. So here the price elasticity means it is a measure how much the quantity demand of a good responds to a changes in the price of that goods, computed as the percentage change in quantity demand divided by the percentage change in price. Here we can calculate the price elasticity of demand. The price elasticity of demand compares the percentage change in quantity demand to the percentage change in price as we move along the demand curve. So using this equation, percentage change in quantity demand divided by percentage change in price. For example, this is the demand curve. At initial price was 10, the corresponding quantity demand was 20. The prices increases from 10 to 11. The quantity demanded decreases from 20 to 15. That means the 10% change in price leads to 25% quantity demand change. The rise in hike in 10% leads to 25% decrease in quantity demand. So here we can calculate the price elasticity of demand by dividing the percentage change in quantity demand to percentage change in price. Change in quantity demand is here 25% divided by 10% change in price, we get 2.5. That means this price elasticity of demand here is 2.5. It means that 1% hike in price leads to 2.5 quantity demand will decrease. The negative sign indicates that when price increases, quantity demand decreases. This is law of demand. So here the 25% change in price, 10% change in price leads to 25%. So calculate the price elasticity of demand using equation. Here we are going to know what are the equations that are using to calculate the price elasticity of demand. The derivation of equation that we are going to check. Here the equation is percentage in quantity demand, we already know. We can rewrite that the percentage change in quantity demand is equal to change in quantity demanded divided by initial quantity demanded. Change in price we can rewrite as change in price divided by initial price. So here we can say that elasticity is equal to change in quantity demanded by initial quantity demanded. is divided by changing price divided by initial price. So changing quantity demanded divided by initial quantity demanded denoted delta Q divided by Q. Delta Q means the changing quantity demanded. Q means the initial quantity demanded. So by dividing we can write as delta Q delta P by P. Delta P means change in price. Delta P means initial price. So here we can rearrange. We will get that delta Q divided by delta P into P by Q. This equation are using to calculate price elasticity of demand. Using this equation, we will get the coefficient of price elasticity of demand. This coefficient means if the coefficient is equal to 0, it means the perfectly inelastic. If the price elasticity is infinity, it means perfectly inelastic. If the price elasticity is greater than 1, it means elastic. If it is less than 1, if it is inelastic, we will call it inelastic. If it is equal to 1, we will call unitary elastic. So based on this equation, we will get answer is called coefficient of price elasticity of demand. For getting the coefficient, we can classify as perfectly inelastic, perfectly elastic, elastic, inelastic, and unitary elastic. If perfectly elastic means perfectly inelastic means the price elasticity is 0. That means any changes in quantity, any changes in price never leads to any changes in quantity demand. So if it is infinity, we can call it is perfectly elastic. That means a small changes in price leads to an infinite change in quantity demand. So classification of degrees of price elasticity with graph. Here we are going to learn sometime in a demand throughout the demand curve there will be same elasticity. We already know that this demand curve is downward sloping. So sometime throughout the elasticity there will be some constant rate of elasticity. So here we can calculate that perfectly inelastic, elastic, perfectly elastic, unit elastic, and elastic. Perfectly inelastic. Price elasticity of demand is equal to 0. It's called demand is completely unresponsive to the change in price. If demand is completely unresponsive to the change in price, it's called perfectly inelastic. Here we can see one example is that at initial price, the quantity demand was 50 at the price is 10. Additionally, then prices increased from 10 to 20. The quantity demand is same as before 50. So here the price is changed but the quantity demand is not changed. So by using this method we can calculate the price elasticity of demand. It is equal to 0. So it means the demand curve is remaining vertical, that there is no changes in quantity demanded in response to changes in price. For example, the medicine. If the price is increased, we will not reduce the quantity demand of the medicine, which is very necessary and essential to our health. And most probably the water. The price is increased, we can't reduce the quantity demand of water. The other elasticity demand curve is inelastic. When the price of elasticity demand is less than 1, if the percentage change in demand is less than the percentage change in price. For example, it is the demand curve. Here the initial price was 4, but the corresponding quantity demand is 12. The price is increased from 4 to 5. The quantity decreased from 12 to 10. So by using this calculation, we will get the initial price divided by initial quantity. We will get the answer is 0.67 because it is less than 1. If it is less than 1, it will call inelastic. Throughout this demand, the elasticity is less than 1. That means the percentage change in demand is less than the percentage change in price. A given percentage change in 25% in price produces a relative less percentage change in quantity demand, that is 16.67. For example, the petrol. If the price of the petrol decreases, we can't reduce much more quantities of petrol. Other example is branded electronics items. Other example is cigarette. If the price of cigarettes increases, we can't reduce much more quantities. Other example is salt. The perfectly elastic. The perfectly elastic demand is said to happen when a little changes in price leads to an infinite changes in quantity demand. Any increase in price result in quantity demand decreases to zero. Any decrease in price result in quantity demand increase to infinity. For example, this is the demand curve. The first one, the initial stage, initial prices for the quantity demand is showing here. If the price is increased 4 to 5, the quantity demand is decreases to 0. On the other hand, the price is decreased 4 to 3, the demand will increase at infinite level. It is called perfectly elastic. For example, high-end cars and the jewelry. Other demand curve elastic. It is elastic demand curve. When the price elasticity of demand is greater than 1, the demand is relatively inelastic. If the percentage change in demand is greater than the percentage change in price, that means it is a demand curve. The initial prices for an initial quantity is 100. The price is increased from 4 to 5 and the quantity decreases 100 to 50. So here by calculating this equation we will get the changes quantity demand is changes price into initial price divided by initial quantity is equal to 2. That means the elasticity is 2. So it is greater than 1. So it is because of the greater than 1 here minus 2 that then the demand is relatively inelastic. Yeah, what is the minus 2 means 1% change in quantity demand leads to 2% decrease in quantity demand. Here, the percentage change in 25% change in quantity price and the percentage in quantity demand is 50%. That means 25% in price leads to 50% quantity demand, almost double. Unit elastic. When the price elasticity of demand is equal to 1, the demand is unit elastic. If the percentage change in demand is exactly equal to percentage change in price, the demand is said to be unitary elastic. When a given proportionate change in the price elasticity brings about an equal proportionate change in quantity demand. Here are the example. The initial stage, the quantity demand price is initial stage, the price is for at the corresponding level 60. The price is ignited 4 to 5. The quantity demand is decreases 6 to 45. So elasticities here is what 25% in quantity, 25% in change in price is to same 25% in quantity demand is called unit elastic. What are the determinants of price elasticity of demand? Whether the goods is necessitous or luxury, and the share of income spent on goods and time and number of uses the commodity have and whether the close substitute are available. Whether the close substitute are available, it is the most important determinants of elasticity of demand. If the commodity has a large number of close substitute, it will have a higher elastic demand. Non-substitute goods will have an inelastic demand. Whether the goods is a necessity or luxury. Elasticity of good depends on whether the necessity or a luxury goods. If it is necessary, goods is downward will be inelastic. If it is luxury goods, the demand will be elastic. Income spent on goods. If the consumers spend a larger portion of their income on the commodities, demand will be elastic. Time elasticity of demand will be higher for the long period compared to short period. Number of uses of the commodity. Greater the number of uses, the elasticity will be greater. If the commodity has less uses, demand likely to be inelastic. Methods of measuring price elasticity. There are three methods we are going to learn here. One is percentage method, expenditure method, graphical method. In the personal method, we already learned this percentage change in quantity demanded divided by percentage change in price. By using this equation, we will get this equation delta Q divided by delta P into P by Q. Other method is graphical method. It is the simplest method to calculate price elasticity. There is a simple rule for calculating price elasticity of demand. That is, elasticity of a straight line at a point is given by the ratio of the length of the line segment below line segment below the point to the length of the segment above it. For example, it is a demand curve. Here, in a demand curve, the elasticity is varies at various points. At the top level, it is at the intersection of the y-axis, the demand will be infinity. In under it is at the point B, this is greater than 1 elastic. That means elastic. At the center, it will be unit elastic, and below it will be less than 1. That means inelastic. At the intersection of x-axis, it will be perfectly inelastic. That means elasticity is 0. For we can calculate any point the elasticity by using this method, lower segment divided by upper segment. By using this method, we can say that whether the goods is elastic or not. The other method is expenditure method. Based on the expenditure of the consumer, we can know what's the price elasticity of demand. Here we can say that whether the price elasticity is greater than 1, less than 1 or equal to 1. We can't say that it is exact coefficient of price elasticity using the expenditure method. Here are the example. Here the price is downing from 1263 is downing, but the quantity demand are increasing, but expenditure are the same. In this case, the price elasticity is equal to 1. At the same time, the price is decreasing, demand also increasing, but the expenditure is same, it will say it's greater than 1. If the expenditure also decreasing, we say it is less than 1. Thank you.